Good morning. Welcome to another One Mind meditation. Today's meditation has a couple of teachers, not just one for this week. And just before we get into some thoughts from all of these teachers, a quick reminder that the best way to get ready for today's meditation is to bring your attention to your breath. Pay attention to inhaling through your nose. Draw the breath as deep into your belly as you can. Fill up your belly as you inhale as if there's a balloon inside, and as you exhale, deflate the balloon in your belly and the air will naturally flow all the way out. And in a couple of minutes, you'll be ready to float away with us on today's journey. Right, a few thoughts from our teachers this morning. And an interesting question. This question might just be interesting to you, or it might sound offensive to you. But the question is this: do you need to change your personality? Do you need to change your personality? I'll make clearer what this means as I share with you this morning's teaching from a couple of teachers. But what would that mean? What could that mean? Do you need to change your personality? Lorraine, good morning. Sunmarie, good morning. Awesome seeing you. Right, here we go into today's thoughts. From Mark Epstein. Mark Epstein says this. He says, the freedom that the Buddha envisioned does not come from jettisoning imprisoning thoughts and feelings. This freedom does not come from abandoning the suffering self. It comes from learning how to hold all of this differently, juggling them rather than clinging to their ultimate realities. He talks about a freedom that he says the Buddha envisioned for us, and that we often think that the bad parts of us need to be left behind. And he's saying this freedom doesn't come from leaving these parts behind. This freedom comes from knowing how to hold these parts in a different way. And I'd like you to recognize what he says when he mentions the suffering self. This suffering self, and that we don't find peace by rejecting the scared human, but by learning to have acceptance for the scared human and holding it in a different way. The next thought is by Debbie Ford, and it kind of speaks of the opposite. Mark Epstein spoke of the suffering self, and Debbie Ford speaks of our limitless self. She says, as you step into your limitless self, you might be confronted with old habits and old patterns that are not necessarily based in truth. These old ways of being show up because you have repeated them many thousands of times. Oh, good morning, Charlene. Sorry, load shedding. It's good to see you though, even if it's just for a couple of minutes. Ilse, good morning. Good to see you. Right, back to Debbie Ford's thought. She speaks of your limitless self and how often when you try and reach for that limitless self, there's old patterns holding us back. And these old patterns are only strong because they've been on repeat so many times. So Debbie shines a light here on the other side of humans, the other side that we have access to, our limitless self, your most creative self, your highest potential. And she recognizes that what keeps us from living as our limitless self are simply these old patterns that are created by the scared human. Old patterns created in a need to survive in what is sometimes a scary world. So the first question was, do you need to change your personality? And to put that in a different light, what is your personality? What is our personality? If we have a collection of old coping mechanisms, what are our old coping mechanisms other than masks we wear in order to deal with the world we're in? And if you stop wearing the old masks that you used to wear, do you not have a new personality now? Is it possible to take off all of the old masks and now show up differently in the world? One last thought from Joe Dispenza is, how you think, how you act, and how you feel is called your personality. And your personality creates your personal reality. When you change your personality, you also change your personal reality. Today we're looking at the masks we might have picked up along the way. Things, coping mechanisms that made us feel like we could deal with the world around us. And I'm asking the same question again. If we take off those masks and we don't wear them anymore, does that not mean a different personality, a new personality? Right. Nella, good morning. You're just in time. Leshna, good morning. I just saw you pop up there. Lorraine, I'm sure it's going to be a good one. If you're ready, you can close your eyes and let's float away on today's journey together. Here we go, starting with the first few big breaths. Let's take a deep breath in and out. Take a deep breath in and out. The deep inhale and let it go. Deep breath in and out. One more big breath in and let it all flow away. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose gets drawn all the way deep down into your belly. And as you breathe in, also make yourself a little bit taller. As you inhale, stretch out your spine, lift the top of your head toward the ceiling. And once you've reached your full height, let all of it go. As you exhale, soften. As you breathe out, soften your spine, slump down your shoulders and drop your head. As you continue your own full body breathing, which simply means rise with your inhale and completely soften with your exhale. And as you continue, I'll share with you again this thought by Joe Dispenza. About personality and a possible definition of personality. It's easy to think of personality as a fixed thing. There are many personality tests that purport to demonstrate to you the personality that you have. And while that might be really helpful, there is a question about whether personality is so fixed or whether it's something that's a lot more fluid. And here's one definition of personality. Just a reminder, don't forget your full body breathing. Keep softening. Your personality is no more than the things you do on repeat every day. And the things you do on repeat every day are most often a set of coping mechanisms. Adaptations that your brain and body came up with in order to deal with a sometimes scary world. And the fact that you are alive means the old coping mechanisms have worked. In terms of survival, they've been successful. And so naturally they'll be on repeat. If we think of coping mechanisms as a mask, which some of them are, mask you put on to face the world, certain masks you put on to face your parents, other masks to face different family members, another mask to face friends, and another mask to face colleagues. What happens if you don't have a need for these masks anymore? If you don't feel the need to cope with the world in those specific ways? If you put down those coping mechanisms and they are not on repeat anymore, does that mean if you're doing different things, if you're thinking new things, if you're feeling in a new way, does that not mean a new personality? We'll take the last few big breaths of this phase together, softening even more, helping our bodies to adjust into a comfortable position for the next part of our journey. Let's take a deep breath in. As you release, drop your head all the way forward and roll out the neck muscles forward and to the left and forward and to the right. Loosening up your neck muscles and ensuring they're not so tight. Take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders forward in big, slow circles. Loosening up neck muscles and also shoulder muscles. Take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders backwards in big, slow circles. Loosening up shoulder muscles and also back muscles. Take a deep breath in. And as you release, focus on your spine. See if you can tilt your head in one direction while you tilt your hips in the opposite direction, curving your spine into an S, all the way from your head down to your tailbone. One more big breath in. And as you release, you can stretch or move or adjust any part of your body that still needs a bit of help settling down. Having softened into a space of presence as much as we can right now, we'll turn our attention inwards and dive deep inside for the next part of our journey. If you don't have enough time to sit for the whole meditation with us, this would be a good place to stop. But if you are here for the whole ride, every next inhale will be followed by a short breath hold, and then a long, slow exhale. Let's take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, feel into your body and feel the softening happening in your body. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, follow the downwards flow. Feel your shoulders slowly falling, feel your body slowly softening, and feel how you are slowly slipping deeper into you. One more big breath in and hold. And as you release, feel yourself melting, feel your whole body dissolving, feel how you are slipping into a deeper level of surrender with every slow exhale. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose gets drawn all the way down deep into your belly, and you are invited to follow. As you breathe in, feel the air flow in through your nostrils. Feel the air touch the back of your throat. Stay with your breath as it flows in through your lungs. And as you fill up the balloon inside your belly, feel yourself slip all the way in. Hold your breath, but only for as long as it feels comfortable. Followed by a long, slow exhale. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, take a moment to say hello to your body. Welcome yourself to this vessel Take your next big breath. Journey today is a stroll down memory lane, starting from when we were very little to now, and just reminding ourselves of this, I could say, scary things that we have somehow decided to adapt to in order to feel like we can cope, feel like we can survive. The aim is not to blame anyone, not anyone outside of us, for the ways in which they might have hurt us, and the aim is not to blame ourselves for the successful coping mechanisms that we picked up along the way, because if they kept us alive, biologically, they were successful. But just as a reminder of the things we've picked up and that perhaps we can do a bit of work on in order to put them down. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, I want you to remind yourself of your very earliest childhood, and your parents, or might be other caregivers. Can you remember an instant when they made you feel like you were not acceptable as you are? Where the message you got was, I have to show up differently in order to be accepted. Just a quick reminder to yourself. Take your next big breath. For the moment, you can take off that mask and put it down on the floor next to you. It's not good or bad, but we all have a journey of picking up masks and finding ways to cope. We'll take a step forward in our journey, and I want you to remind you of other adults in your world, in your very young world. Other caregivers might be aunts, uncles, grandparents. These people play a huge role in our young lives. We used to place a lot of importance in their opinions. Can you remember an instance where any of the other adults in your young life did something or said something that made it clear to you that you were not acceptable the way you are, and that you would have to show up differently in order to be accepted? Take your next big breath. You can take off that mask and place it on the floor next to you. The children we used to play with in our young lives. Could be at school, could be cousins, could be brothers, sisters. With your next big breath as you dive deep into you, take a moment to remind yourself of the children in your young life. Do you remember an instant, an incident, where a young friend made it clear that you were not acceptable the way you are? And that you would have to show up differently in order to be accepted? Take your next big breath. You can take off that mask and put it on the floor next to you. We're kind of staying on the subject, and maybe you were already there. But our friends, our peers, play a huge role when we're a bit older. Teenagers and young adults. From that peer group, can you remember a specific instance where a friend made it clear that how you are is not acceptable and you would have to show up differently in order to be acceptable? Take your next big breath. Teachers, while we were in school, is another group of people that had a huge influence. With your next big breath as you dive deep into you, remind yourself of an instance where a teacher made it clear to you that the way you are is not acceptable, and that you need to show up differently in order to be accepted. Take your next big breath. You can take off that mask and place it on the floor next to you. Our adult lives have these influences too. There are friends, there are family members, there are colleagues, there are employers, and there are our adult relationships. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, remind yourself of an incident or an instance as an adult where you felt this was made clear to you. How you are is not acceptable, and that you need to show up differently in order to be accepted. Take your next big breath. We'll take the last few big breaths of this phase together, slipping out of the breath-holding space and into the next. And the reminder is this: the point of this journey is not to point fingers at those that wounded us, or to judge ourselves for the baggage we picked up along the way. But it is helpful to recognize what the baggage is, so that we can get to a place where we put it down. Let's take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, invite softness into every fiber of your being. One more big breath in. And hold. And as you release, feel yourself slip all the way through. There is no more attention on your breathing. You can sit all the way back or lie all the way back down and feel yourself just floating. There is a question that goes like this. Who were you before the world showed you who you should be? We came into this world as a pure expression of soul. But our biology is also designed to keep us alive. Subconsciously, unconsciously, our biology will react to threats in our environment and adapt in any way that ensures survival. So first of all, take a moment of gratitude for your body. It does what it does automatically, and it keeps you alive. But we'll go back to the first question. Who were you before the world showed you who you should be, or how you should be? While our bodies cannot be blamed for the masks we decided to wear, we can get to a place where we see more, where we understand more, where we're seeing from a higher part of who we are. And we can recognize that there is baggage here that doesn't serve me anymore. While masks might have kept me alive or kept me feeling that I know how to cope, whenever I put a mask between me and the world, I am not showing the expression of my soul. I'm not living the expression of my soul. I'll share with you again these beautiful words from Debbie Ford that say, as you step into your limitless self, as you reach for the expression of your soul, you might be confronted with old habits, old patterns, and they are not necessarily based in truth. These old ways of being show up because you've repeated many of them thousands of times. And that's the only reason why they're so persistent. They've been well practiced. If the point of today's journey is not to point fingers at those who wounded us and not to have judgment of ourselves for our coping mechanisms, then what is the point? The point is this: to ask our higher self, our inner wisdom, for reminders. Can I please be reminded next time? Can I have the awareness the next time I put on a mask in order to feel like I can cope? Can I just have the awareness the moment I put this mask on? That's a huge step forward. Just awareness. And in that moment I can choose. I can make a decision. I'm allowed to choose to use this mask. But it's better if I'm conscious about this. It might be that I feel as though I'm not quite ready to rip it off. It might be that I feel I need this crutch a little bit longer. I don't feel strong enough to do it without this mask yet. That's valid. It is allowed. But I need to stand in front of that decision in awareness in order to make changes. Because maybe I'm ready. Maybe after being conscious and aware about the mask I'm using for a while. Those could be the baby steps that get me to the bigger decision. The moment I realize I'm putting on the same old mask, at some point I'll be ready to say, no longer. I'm not hiding my light behind a mask any longer. I'm not hiding the expression of my soul anymore. I'm ready to be me. I remember who I was before the world told me who I should be. And I'm ready. I can deal with anyone showing me I'm not acceptable because I'm acceptable to me. This is a journey though. It's not a light switch. It doesn't happen in one moment. It's more like a dance. It goes forward and it comes back. And we learn to slowly, slowly take small steps. But the expression of your soul is waiting. It wants to show itself to the world. We have the last 5 breaths of gratitude to do together. With every exhale, I'll say my thank you, and I invite you to say yours. Let's take a deep breath in. Thank you for becoming better at recognizing my own masks. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for the awareness to recognize in the moment when I put on a mask. Thank you for being allowed to stand before a decision and not just do this mindlessly. I have a choice. I can put on the old mask, or I can step outside without it. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for not giving a damn when the world shows me I'm not acceptable. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for being acceptable to me. And this is the gold. This is when we really don't need the masks anymore. Is when I'm acceptable to me, when I truly am acceptable to me. No one else's opinion matters anymore. One more big breath in. Thank you, beautiful people. Good morning. morning, Maggie. Good morning, Colette. It's good to see you. I love your share, Ilza. And I'll properly read it just now. It is amazing to me how a constant journey of meditation, what it does is it connects our brain in ways we might have become disconnected, and memories often do come flooding back from repeated meditation. Sometimes they can be difficult to deal with, but your soul always knows how to deal with them. And we need this awareness. We need to see in a space of awareness what's there, so that we can know how to take the masks off, or at least we can start practicing slowly until we get stronger. Remember, a crutch, we always talk about a crutch as something negative. Crutches were designed, medical crutches were designed for a very good reason. There are times in our lives when the crutch is necessary, but we need to figure out what is the process of letting go of a crutch. We don't have to go cold turkey on any old habit. But it's only when we can get to our old habits, our old parts, our old patterns, our old masks in a way that we are not scared to look at them anymore, that we can get beyond them. I love you guys. Thank you, Sunmary. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you for that share, Ilza. I'll properly read it in a moment. And everyone else back there. Maggie, Pat, good morning. Have a good day, everyone. See you soon. Ciao, ciao.